Hey guys, I'm Azra, and in this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video I wanted to summarize what has conspired on week 5 on both of my accounts, on my good side and evil side account. This is roughly the end of week 5 and I am on my good side account right now. This is the campaign Kings of Men, Rings of Power. And what has conspired? Well, Team Purple has allied with Team Orange and they pretty much dominated the map. We already expected this to happen, and as you see, they already claimed victory by conquering Dol Guldur. It is what it is. And then Team Red over here was also being pushed back by Team Purple and Orange. The same goes for my team. Team Black has also been destroyed. Like, we were starting here, but then we needed to move over here. And then we PvP'd a bit around these regions, but yeah, that doesn't change the fact that we don't stand a chance against the full force of Orange and Purple. The same goes for Team Red over here. Like, they too can't do anything against the sheer mass of these two. The only thing we tried to do was a little tournament, like a little event over here. The season is pretty much over and we said, hey, how about if Team Red, Black and also this team, that we together fight Team Purple. The rule was pretty simple. It was just, hey, you know what? We will just sit on these crossings and our team is allowed to send everything they have against this stack of a full army. We tried to get rid of these, but they have so amazing whaled out commanders that we never could get rid of these numbers. Like, this crossing is always 100% protected and we couldn't do anything against it. That means that this little tournament is also lost for us. It was a little fun effort, but I do have a few battle reports to share with you guys. We both had Dains and we wanted to go back and forth with different builds, with different gear, and let me explain what has happened in this battle report. My Dain to the left is a Retaliate Dain. I just wanted to see how that works out, since Dain needs a tanky mono stack anyway. I wanted to see how he does having a tanky unit that is fighting back whenever they get hit, in combination with Dain, who also deals a lot of damage. I have the Dwarven Grid built over here, like being very bursty in the first 4 rounds. And I wanted to see how this harmonizes with the Retaliate build. This is the gear as you see. Durance Plate with Fortitude of Dwarves. Unfortunately, I don't have Tactical Maneuvers yet. Brutal Helmet with Melee Vigor. Erebos Pride and Arid Loon Formation, because why not? It has lots of HP, that way Dain can tank longer. Arid Loon Formation will also buff the retaliate damage of the Guardians. And I was curious, I just wanted to see how far can we push with this Dain. Looks like not far enough. And I even made sure to have 2 decoy units, you know, just to absorb some damage, just to misdirect some damage in order to have my Guardians survive a bit longer. But as you see, we have lost this fight against this Dain. The player's name is Dogo. By the way, thank you Dogo for these fights. I've learned a lot from these reports here. So let's check out his gear. Axe of Khazad-dûm with Cleave. That for sure is the best in slot golden weapon for him. Durance Plate with Dominance. That is also amazing. If I had to choose, I would either go with Dominance or Tactical Maneuvers. Iron Bassinet, Fortitude of Soldiers, even more tanky Guardians, that makes sense, and Rod Calabash, Gift of Nature, that too makes sense. Overall, good stats. He has selected this build over here. He is going with Longbeard, also with the top respect 0 title, Ironfoot, and yeah, it's not the Dwarven Grid build, but still, it did decent. But let me tell you in advance, we do have a report that does even better than this build. But let's check out the snapshot page. So my Dain has done around, what was it, 220k damage, while his Dain did 258k damage. And here you see again, that is the detailed view. His Guardians did almost 60k damage, while my Guardians also around 60k damage. This was disappointing because I had the Retaliate weapon. I thought I would do better against the mono stack than this. Like, the damage of our Guardians are almost the same. Wow, that's just disappointing. And then we experimented a little bit more. I am still continuing with the Retaliate build, but Dogo instead used another build. You know, experimenting is always improving our gameplay, so why not? It is the same gear, but a slightly different build. So in this case, he needed to take 7 points out of his top respect 0 tree, which he did. and he reinvested those points into Dwarfen Grid to have a more bursty Dain. Like, it is my build, but he has a higher respect level Dain with this gear. And let's check out the outcome. And all of a sudden, the tides have turned. Looks like my build works with Retaliate better than his Axe of Khazad-dûm Cleave build with the same build. Alright, so we now know that this Dwarfen Grid build worked better with my Retaliate build. But we weren't satisfied. Dogo thought there should be a more viable build, and I'm happy that he pushed for it. We will jump to that battle report after we have checked out this snapshot page. So my Dain has dealt around 250k damage, Guardians 65k damage, while his Dain did 227k damage and Guardians almost 40k damage. I am still continuing with the Retaliate build. Nothing has changed. Same gear as you see, Arid Loon formation, same build, but Dogo switched to a completely different build. Instead of focusing on his Respect 3 title tree, he now has completely committed to his top Respect 0 tree, like the Ironfoot tree, and also Heavily Wounded with Vengeance, and whatever leftover points he had, he invested between King Under the Mountain and Longbeard. Longbeard is going to boost the other damage dealing skills. This is why we are here. We just want to push Longbeard to increase the power of these other skills like Ironfoot, Heavily Wounded, Vengeance, Whirlwind, All In. All of these abilities are going to get a damage increase because you ignore a certain percentage the target's defense. So that is the point of this build. But to make this work, you really have to watch the skill order. You do it by first you select Whirlwind, then you select All In, and now it's very important to select the correct skill to mitigate the damage penalty that comes because of All In side effect. It says you deal physical damage once and then you reduce your next attack's damage by 50%. Now you should select the ability that does the least amount of damage and also aligns with the same rounds. Like All In is going to be active every 4 rounds, which is why you need to put at least 1 point into King Under the Mountain right after you have selected All In. That way, King Under the Mountain gets the damage penalty and all is good. You don't want that to happen for your Ironfoot. Ironfoot is just too good to waste the damage. So this is the skill order. Keep in mind, first Whirlwind, then All In, then King Under the Mountain, and you have taken care of the skill order. Now let's jump over to the snapshot page. So how much damage have we done? We have done around 180k damage, Guardians only 50k damage, while his Dain did around 340k damage and his Guardians 40k-ish damage. Make sure to get the Axe of Khazad-dûm with Cleave, and like if you can, Durance Plate with Dominance or Tactical Maneuvers, and Iron Bassinet with Fortitude of Soldiers, or it could also be Arrow Suppression, or how about Cask of the Submerged Isle with either Formation Break as a special effect or Last Resort, whatever you have. And of course, you can go with an Androd Calabash Gift of Nature, that would be his best choice. Or as a fallback plan, you can go with Erebos Pride and Arid Luin formation. And there you go. That is what we have learned in this week while doing PvP on my good side account. Now let's jump over to week 5 on my evil side account. And here we are on my evil side account. So what has happened? The alliance of Arnor, Lindon, Gondor, Rohan continued pushing, and just I explained in the video from before, we are being outgunned. The only official alliance we have is Rune, and that's it. We have no official talks with Erebor. I think Erebor was pretty much locked in a one-on-one fight with Loth from the get-go, but just like I said, we have no communications with them, only with Rune. We have been pushed back. We have also lost our capital, Mad Ortok, and what's happening? I think to the south, one of our fellowships, New Jay, is fighting back. They are trying to hold the line as long as they can, while Nuts and FTPW is more focused on the middle part of the region and also a bit on the north side of the map. And yeah, but the season is, it looks pretty much over for us. I have no idea how we're supposed to turn the tides on this, but who knows? We are still going to keep fighting. We still haven't given up. Like I myself, I'm still fighting on every day, and I'm going to share a few battle reports with you in a moment. This is what has conspired in this season. It is rebuilding glory, and I assume that by next week Dol Guldur will have been occupied. occupied. So there is nothing more to say to this. I also have no memes to share right now. Let's jump over to the battle reports because I do have a few interesting things to share. Let's start with this battle report. I think it isn't a big surprise to see these commanders fighting. They are pretty much well established in the meta. S tier material here, Sunind and Isildur. Isildur is directly countering Sunind because that's what he does best with his Dunedains and also Rangers if he wishes to do so. In this case, Isildur has fully committed into Dunedains with a big chunk of them, 5k. But before I want to show you something interesting, let's check out the gear we have. Gigantic Hammer with Rend for my Suni, Mithril Coat with Tactical Maneuvers, Hunter's Guide with Aegis, and Palantir of Orphanc with Tactical Mark. And let's check out the Isildur. Gigantic Hammer with Giant's Power, Superior Hauberk with Fire Protection, Horseman's Helm with Resolve, and Carved Dragon Tooth with Blitz. Alright, so it's a very competitive Isildur. Now, this is always going to happen. Your Suni will always lose a fight against Isildur if you run her in her standard build. But there are ways to fight this back, which is why I am sharing this report. Let's check out the snapshot page first. So we have done only 115k-ish damage while having received around 325k damage. And as you see in the detailed view, my Arbalests didn't survive long enough to deal the usual amount of damage, surpassing 150k damage. But what happens if we change the unit formula? Just by changing one unit, you can do so much. What I want to show to you is how you can change the outcome of this report just by including, let's say, Great Beasts. Here is my second fight against an Isildur, and just as I mentioned, I have replaced my Dragoons with Great Beasts. And do you see how we have turned the tides? Like, that is still a big chunk of Dunedains fighting us, but they can't kill our Morgul Arbalests directly because the Great Beasts are protecting them with the ability Bulwark. Defense +9 in battle, and all enemy units prioritize this unit. So they tank all the damage. That way Morgul Arbalests get a chance to deal a lot of damage before they get sniped by the Dunedains. And then we also have some champions, just because of the special effect challenge. By reducing the damage of the enemy army, we enable the Great Beasts to survive longer, to tank longer. That way Arbalests can deal more damage. My gear hasn't changed, but we can check out this Isildur's gear. He has Gigantic Hammer with Rend, Hauberk with Shroud, Full Helm with Melee Vigor, and the Carved Dragon Tooth with Blitz. And in the snapshot page, we have done 290k-ish damage while having received 210k damage. This is still very expensive, but we at least didn't get wiped out. In the detailed view, you see Morgul Arbalests close to 220k damage and champions almost 50k damage. So this battle report made me curious. I wanted to see how this could look like if we included Fellbeasts instead of Great Beasts. And for that very reason, I have prepared this battle report. You see, we have the Fellbeasts. They excel against melee units because of the special effect Flying. Damage received from melee units -60%, and damage received from ranged units +30%. Normal attacks can target any enemy units, and also they deal poison damage, and usually good side isn't equipping gear that is protecting them from poison damage. So this is a win for us, unless the enemy has high alert. Alright, so let's check out this Isildur. He has Gigantic Hammer with Giant's Power, Quilted Armor with Focus Protection, Cask of the Submerged Isle with Aegis, and Carved Dragon Tooth with Tactical Mark. I see that this Isildur isn't going with the Dunedain damage, like he hasn't maxed out his R3 title. Instead, he's going for the Madness Bomb, but my Aegis Helmet is just denying this. And also the first 3 rounds he can't really evade with Ring Bearer's mechanic because of my Palantir with Tactical Mark. Alright, and the elemental damage of his keepers, they just went enough to deal with my army over here. So let's see, we have done around 260k damage while having received 150k-ish damage. In the detailed view, Morgul Arbalests 160k-ish damage, and Fellbeasts only 40k damage. Okay, that is a surprise. I thought they would deal more damage, but now we know. In this report report, we are fighting Gandalf the White, and he does have high alert. My gear doesn't have changed, it is still the same. Build stays the same, but we have Great Beasts again. And Gandalf the White, yes, these items is unique. Elven Cloak with resistance protection, so this is mitigating my poison damage from Morgul Arbalests in addition with high alert. Like, he has minus 80% elemental damage received, that is huge. Bone Mask with Manipulate. If we are unlucky, the RNG factor will just cast this on our Morgul Arbalests and deny our burst damage. That can happen. And Worn-Out Smoking Pipe with Sustain. Like, guys, seriously, this is why Gandalf the White belongs in the meta to the top commanders. What does Gandalf the White do? He tanks the enemy army. He has 3 different tanky units, melee units that are just bulky enough to survive. He supports their survival by giving them elemental damage mitigation with high alert and the gear. He also heals them, AoE healing on a regular basis. He mitigates burst damage with White Council. He gives the enemy army a debuff, and that debuff stacks, which means his army deals more damage against the enemy army, while giving his own army lots of speed. And these tanky units are slow, like Guards of the Tower are very slow, but with the plus 20 speed, hey, they are back in the fight. Guardians, the same. And Cataphracts, well, generally speaking, they are already fast, but with plus 20 speed, even faster. But let's continue. Gandalf the White also boosts his own damage by making the enemy orcs, urukais, and trolls receive more damage. He also has stun on round 1. That is always nice to have, but luckily we have Aegis. And then he has the White maxed out. That means he's going to deal lots of focus damage with Gandalf by himself. That means he's just punching through our thick armor of our Great Beasts, deals direct damage to their HP. And guess what? Every 3 rounds he is following up with a unit stun while dealing a bit of focus damage in the process. And he also boosts the defense of the own units. That is huge because this is scaling with focus. And Gandalf the White has tons of focus, as you see. So Gandalf the White has so much synergy, is generally speaking an overall package. Like, he has it all. And also low upkeep cost because he can sustain this army formation for a long period. Guards of the Tower, easy to conscript, and also Guardians, very cheap. The only expansive unit are the Cataphracts. And it's just insane. Like, this Gandalf the White gave me a hard time. I expected my army composition to deal more damage, but this is as far as we go. Good job on this Gandalf the White. Let's check out the snapshot page. We have done around 260k-ish damage while having received 160k damage. In the detailed view, Morgul Arbalest almost 190k damage, followed by Great Beasts with 30k-ish damage. And yeah, that's basically it. That's the end of week 5 on both of my accounts. We lost the fight for Dol Guldur. We are still struggling, still fighting back on my Evil Side account, and only time will tell how we finish this season. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, let me know by leaving a like, consider subscribing, share the video, that helps a lot. And with that being said, I see you guys next time.